They were crimson, velvety, wrapped in delicate white paper with a gold ribbon. He stood at my doorstep that evening with them cradled like a treasure, his smile tentative, his eyes searching mine as though waiting for permission to step into my world again. "Thought you might like these," he said softly, holding the bouquet out to me. My chest tightened. After weeks of silence, of unanswered calls and nights staring at my ceiling with questions gnawing at me, here he was. Mark. The man who once swore I was the only person who truly understood him. The man who had disappeared without warning, leaving only excuses and half-hearted explanations when he resurfaced. I should have shut the door. I should have walked away. But instead, my trembling fingers reached for the flowers. And that's when my neighbor, Mrs. Klein, stepped onto her porch, grocery bag in hand, and said something that froze my blood. The beginning of the conflict, the words that changed everything. Mrs. Klein was in her 70s, gentle, sharp-eyed, and far too observant for anyone's comfort. She had lived across the hall from me for nearly 5 years, watching comings and goings with a kind of protective fondness. When she saw Mark at my door, her lips parted in recognition. But it wasn't the kind of smile one gives an old acquaintance. No. It was the look of someone watching a ghost walk into the daylight. "Oh," she said, her voice carrying across the hall, "you're back. After everything you did to her?" I blinked, roses pressed to my chest like a shield. "What?" I asked, my voice small, confused. Mark's jaw tensed. His hand flexed at his side, as though he was suppressing the urge to either reach for me or to bolt. Mrs. Klein's eyes softened when they met mine. "Sweetheart, I didn't think you'd ever see him again after," she trailed off, but the meaning was clear. "After what?" My heart lurched. Mark's silence was worse than denial. He didn't speak, didn't defend himself. He just stared at me, his face a careful mask, the same mask that had once convinced me he was incapable of cruelty. The inner struggle, a love tainted by secrets. I let him in. I shouldn't have, but I did. The flowers landed in a vase on my kitchen counter, a scarlet explosion that smelled like forgiveness and regret. He sat across from me at the table, his fingers tracing invisible patterns on the wood. I couldn't stop looking at him. The sharp line of his jaw, the tired slump of his shoulders, the eyes that carried both tenderness and secrets. "Mark," I finally whispered, "what did she mean?" He exhaled slowly, as though the weight of every lie he had ever told was pressing against his lungs. "It's complicated." Those words. I hated those words. They had followed me like shadows since the night he disappeared. "Complicated," I repeated, my voice cracking. "Complicated is for math problems, not relationships." "Did you hurt someone?" "Did you?" I couldn't finish the thought. My throat was too tight. His eyes met mine then, desperate, almost pleading. "I never meant to. I thought I was protecting you." "Protecting me? From what? Or from who?" The twist, Mrs. Klein's revelation. Later that night, unable to sleep, I found myself knocking on Mrs. Klein's door. She opened it in her robe, her face soft with sympathy. "You deserve the truth," she said before I could even ask. She invited me inside, and I sat on her floral couch while she poured tea neither of us touched. Then she told me what she had seen months earlier, when Mark and I were still together. "I came home late one night," she began, her eyes never leaving mine. "And I saw him in the parking lot with another woman. They were arguing. She was crying, begging him not to walk away. He grabbed her wrist, not violently, but firmly, like he was afraid she'd follow him. And when he saw me watching, he let go and left." The words struck like a slap. I wanted to deny them, to insist she was mistaken. But something in me cracked open instead. Memories spilled out, the nights he was unreachable, the unexplained absences, the restless look in his eyes when I asked too many questions. Mrs. Klein placed her hand gently over mine. "I didn't tell you because, you seemed so happy. I thought maybe it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. But seeing him tonight, I couldn't stay silent. My world tilted. My heart still wanted to believe him, but my mind was a battlefield of betrayal and fear. Mark's confession, a truth more complex than lies. The next morning, I confronted him. He didn't deny what Mrs. Klein had said. Instead, he told me everything. The woman was his ex-fiancée. She had struggled with addiction, and though they were long broken up, she clung to him as her lifeline. He had tried to help her, but it dragged him into chaos he didn't want me exposed to. That night in the parking lot, she had begged him for money. When he refused, she lashed out, accusing him of abandoning her. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to think less of me," he whispered, his voice heavy with shame. "I didn't want my past to poison what we had." His honesty cut deeper than lies ever could. Because part of me understood. I knew the weight of guilt, of trying to protect someone you love from truths that could break them. But another part of me, the part bruised by abandonment, by silence, wondered if secrets, no matter how well-intentioned, could ever coexist with love. The second twist, the flower's real meaning. It wasn't until days later, after sleepless nights and aching silence, that the final twist unraveled. The flowers weren't a gesture of reconciliation. They were an apology, and a farewell. Mrs. Klein found the note. She had seen Mark leave it tucked beneath my doormat the night he brought the roses. She slipped it to me when I came home one evening, her eyes brimming with something like sorrow. The note was brief. "I love you enough to let you go. My past will always find me, and I won't let it destroy you too. Please remember me kindly." I sat on the floor, the note trembling in my hands, the roses already wilting in the vase. He hadn't come back to stay. He had come back to say goodbye. Conclusion, a love that lingers in shadows. Weeks have passed, and I still catch myself staring at the empty space on my kitchen table where the flowers once stood. Some nights, I replay every word, every silence, every glance that could have meant something more. I wonder if love is meant to endure secrets, or if it crumbles under the weight of truths too heavy to carry. Mrs. Klein sometimes checks in on me, her voice gentle, her eyes kind. She tells me I'm stronger than I think. Maybe she's right. But there's a part of me that will always remember the night he stood at my door with roses in his hands, and the way one sentence from my neighbor shattered everything I thought I knew. And though he's gone, the question lingers, sharp and unyielding. Did he leave to protect me, or to protect himself? The answer may never come. But the silence he left behind speaks louder than words ever could.